I can't. Yeah. No. No. Okay.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. So, welcome to today's meditation session. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. It was very warm, right? Oh my God! It's the first time to have such warm weather this year. Today is still very warm, is it? That's very good. We can enjoy the weather during this very special time. I think there's still a few people watching this video from YouTube. So I say hello to everybody, either from whereby also from the YouTube. So for today's topic, let's talk about a little about emptiness. I think we talk about this topic in one way or another in many different sessions, but we haven't talked about that directly. So today, let's just look at it a little bit. What is emptiness? And how can we understand it properly without being misled by the word which is called emptiness? So before we start today's session, let's meditate for 5 minutes. Then we can come back for the main part of the session. So no matter where you are at this moment, just find a comfortable position to sit. In a posture you feel comfortable. You can sit cross-legged. You can sit on a chair. You can even stand. So then in the next 5 minutes, let's just keep still, keep silent, to feel the breath, to feel this moment. No matter what you are focused on, please don't focus on the thought. It can be a sensation. Maybe your hand, your chest, or just the nostrils. See you guys in 5 minutes. Now, open your eyes. It's everything is empty. We usually say in this way, but simply understanding this sentence can be very misleading, because when we say something empty, it's easy for some people to associate empty with meaningless. So that's why there's a very specific school of philosophy which is called nihilism. Everything is meaningless. It's very tricky to talk about this kind of idea or philosophy, whatever. So I can imagine that some people can go into that kind of nihilism, feel that everything is empty. Everything is meaningless, and they associate being empty with being meaningless. It is a big issue, actually. It sounds like the difference between meaningless and empty is very subtle, but the issue behind it is very big. So today, let's look at emptiness a little bit. What is that? Of course, in Buddhism, emptiness is a very important, the core view. But actually, beyond Buddhism, it is also the fundamental nature of the human world. Everything is empty. What is empty? Here, I think we can go back to the neuron paths in the mind.
Here, I think.
So, hello everybody. So if you are using Wi-Fi, could you please turn off the microphone? Thank you very much. Okay, let's continue. So let's go back to the neuron paths on the mind. Look at our daily activities. How much of the time we are caught up in thoughts, emotions. And for this kind of stuff, they also serves as the foundation of the whole society, right? Based on our thoughts, ideas, or whatever. But look at the mind, look at the thoughts. Aren't they the activities of neurons? Since all the thoughts are the consequence of neuron activities, it means that when the neuron stops working, everything is gone. Our thoughts, our emotion are so changeable, right? I think everybody can feel it. Yesterday's you was very different from you of today. If we kept a diary, and then when we checked the diary in the past even 2 weeks, sometimes we may find it's difficult to recognize that is ourselves 2 weeks ago. You see, our thoughts, all those things, they are just the activities of neurons. When neurons stop working, it's gone. So that's just called empty. even you find something very pleasant, you feel very excited. After a few days, even a few hours, it's gone. When you feel very frustrated, very sad about something, just in a few hours, a few days, it's gone. So that's called emptiness. All our reactions toward things, our ideas, they are all changing because of neuron activities. So to speak, everyone is so changeable. Very, very changeable. Look at yourself. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago, and now. How different it is. So this kind of changeability of the life, of the mind, is the nature of the mind, is it? But we resist to this changeability. We want to make something permanent, so we develop identity. And hopefully, we try to make sure everybody can stick to the identity to make something permanent, which is definitely against the nature of the mind. Look at ourselves. How afraid we are of being empty. Because we refuse the fact that everything about the mind, the sensation, the thoughts, the pleasure is empty. So with the fear of being empty, we engage ourselves in all kinds of activities. Hopefully to find a meaning in doing something. When we begin to seek meaning, the very seeking meaning is the beginning of all kinds of troubles. Because when we seek meaning, we are confused by the projection of the ego, which is also a bunch of neurons running ahead. You see, the ego, the self, is also the consequence of the neurons. Which means that it is also empty. But we also need to notice that our tendency, the people's tendency to refuse this nature, the very refusal to this nature actually leads to all kinds of mental challenges and problems. We are attached to something, hopefully to make it permanent. We find the identity and associate it with our ego, the self. All these mental actions are just against of the nature of the mind. It's no wonder that most people find it difficult to really stay peace and calm because we are so caught up in this mess, in this chaos. Being empty why is it so scary to people? it's only a habit, right? Because most people are educated from youth in a way that they believe the existence of themselves. And everybody is almost caught up in their own culture, this collective imaginations, thoughts, ideologies, to make us believe that, something that exists, which actually not. To meditate is to deeply understand the empty nature of the mind. We are empty. That's a fact. Can we not react to it? Just accept what is. That is, we are empty. We are just a tiny creature on this planet. People may ask, whoa, what's the meaning of life? That is a very, very notorious question to ask. The problem is not to find the answer, but why does one want to find the meaning? Meaning is only a word. When we really delve into the word, which is called meaning, it is rather empty. I think everybody can feel it. Everybody has a different reality. What is it called reality? Reality is the inner projection of our mind to the outside world. So we are living in the same physical world, but everybody perceives it differently. That very different perception across people leads to different realities. So, meaning only exists in a specific reality. If we call that it really exists, so your meaning life can be different from others, must be different, not can be, must be different from others. But the problem is that what is your purpose of seeking meaning? We need to ask ourselves this question, because it's so easy for us to get misled by the meaning of the meaning. Don't we want peace and calm? So want some kind of satisfaction, content. And then we want to get it. Why finding a meaning? Think about that. Many people have devoted a lot of energy in finding meanings, actually only to get some peace and calm, get some achievement, a sense of achievement, or some kind of pleasancy, or some sort of satisfaction. And then we use the meaning as a scapegoat. And most people got up in the meaning itself, then forget the peace and calm and stuff, and begin to suffer from it. And then the human beings are very great. They invent nihilism. You see how easy for us to be misled by the mind. it seems that we know our true purpose, but actually, if we have an ego, we don't know because we are deceived by the ego, right? The ego, I think, the self is the source of all kinds of mental conflicts. We seek meaning because ego. We won't try to please the ego, which found very difficult because the ego is always changing. It's very unpredictable. Yes, because the ego is running based on the neurons. The neuron is changed all the time. It's changed all the time. So is the ego. When we have ego, we don't know what's the true purpose of life. Until we realize we are deeply feel the impact of the ego on every corner of life. There's possibility. There's a silence there. We can really understand. Everybody just wants peace and calm. If we know the true purpose is to be peace and calm, why do we take troubles to do all kinds of things? Isn't it because the ego? We are all deceived by that, is it? When we believe the existence of the self, then we just deny the emptiness. That very denial is against the nature. So all kinds of troubles and sufferings are inevitable until we begin to take actions to live a life following the nature of the mind, following the nature. When we have an ego, it's super easy for us to get caught up in all kinds of wanting more, wanting fame, wanting achievement, wanting wealth, you name it. In such mental states, we of course react to emptiness because we are afraid of losing everything. That very fear of losing everything, the thought of that, lays the foundation of all kinds of mental challenges. On the one hand, because the ego wants more and more. On the other hand, also because the ego, we don't want to lose. So in that situation, we are just caught up in this perpetual chaos. So we just need to look at what is happening around us, not only around ourselves, but also around the world. To notice how the society is running. Isn't it based on the thoughts of the mind? So for most people who is living in a way kidnapped by self, when we talk about emptiness, first, it can be shocking. Second, it's very easy for those people to associate being empty with something negative because the fear of losing everything. But it's not. Right? It's a way to set ourselves truly free from the attachment to all kinds of things, all kinds of mental burdens and conflicts. We can still doing our own things, but when our mind is free, it's different thing, right? Free from the attachment, free from the reactions, free from wanting, and be aware of our desire, the ego. When we really appreciate emptiness, the life is different. We know what is called natural, what is unnatural. We know everything is impermanent. Everything is impermanent. Why? Because the neuron is always changing. So the thoughts, the feelings is changing. So of course, it's not permanent at all. People may ask, oh, this mobile phone really exists? Of course, it really exists. But the relation between me and this phone is empty. I may ask you, who does this mobile phone belong to? It belong to me? Belong to you? You see, here is rather empty. It exists, but the relation between me and this phone is empty. But what we do as human beings, we possess it. This is mine. And we believe that the possession of this phone exists. That's the issue. We define ownership. But think about carefully. Can we really own something? Of course, we can't. That's why we invent contract. We write down a contract. Okay, this phone belongs to me. If you take it away, you'll be put into prison. This example just give us the, a basic picture of how the society is running. No matter here in Netherlands, in UK, in China, everywhere. The material things really exist because we can touch it, we can feel it. But how to perceive it is empty, is it? For us, it's a black phone. The color is blank. But probably for an insect, the color is red. Who knows? The things that really exist, but you find it's very difficult to describe it. The any way you want to describe borders on emptiness. Like, oh yeah, it's the 20 centimeters long. It's empty, is it? Because you use the measurement centimeter. It's also concept. Yes, you are really discriminate. But you see, without measurement, you couldn't describe it at all. It really exists. But how you perceive determines how you describe it. We human now make agreement that we perceive this as 1 centimeter. That's the people's great perception. Here, we don't deny this society or negate this society, or all the world. But we need to have this kind of deeper level of awareness. There are so many mental loopholes we can easily fall into. The society, of course, is based on possession, ownership. Here, I don't say, please don't possess it, or please don't own it. Because if you don't do that, this society will be against you, of course. But mentally, we need to realize that how problematic this is. Of course, I bought this phone myself. But mentally, now, at each moment, I don't think this phone belongs to me. Because the ownership is just pure empty. And what we mean, the possession ownership now, it's just a game, right? It's a game running through the society. Of course, there could be many different concepts we can examine one by one, but it might take years to finish it. So it requires everybody yourself to observe, to reflect on it, including what we call friendship, relationships. There are many things that deserve our reflection. So now let's take another 5 minutes meditation. Shall we? Just calm down the mind. I have kept talking about nearly half an hour. I guess you guys also have a very active mind. So let's calm down again. Let's come back for another small talk before we end today's session, shall we? Perfect. So I will set a timer. So let's come back in 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Slowly open your eyes. For people living outside from their own reality, which is based on the ego stuff, it's easy for them to interpret emptiness as something negative. But when we are really into meditation, when we really begin to explore the inner world, I think everybody can find that the emptiness is the foundation of the positivity. Is it? When we deeply feel how empty it is about the self activities, there's a relief. There's a true sense of letting go. There's a real sense of ease, peace, calm. Look at the troubles we have made, with all kinds of sufferings. Aren't they made out of the emptiness, right? It's nothing, but we still suffer. Look at our life. The suffering comes from the fact that we resist the emptiness and try to make something that is not so empty and permanent. So our very desire to overcome emptiness give us the trouble. Do you see that? We try to make something that is not empty to please the ego, the self. But we know that everybody deeply feel that it is empty. So when we try to do something impossible, what's the consequence? All kinds of troubles, right? They are the consequence of doing something impossible. So we can see all the troubles are self-inflicted, are self-induced. Even the self itself is empty. And we believe that it is really exist. It's not something empty. So when we deeply feel that this is the source of the trouble, we create a self and try to use the self to overcome emptiness. So we create culture, prosperity, in whichever way we called. To look at the bloated ego of the human beings. Look at the wall between people. Look at how helpless we are when we are in such a situation of coronavirus. A bloated ego can be easily beaten by a small virus. I think so we don't need to watch any entertainment programs. We ourselves is the biggest joke. We can watch ourselves every day. That's one of the greatest entertainment all time, right? We can keep laughing at ourselves at each minute. So, has grown up in no matter which culture we are in, through all kinds of education. To be awakened, we need a lot of intelligence, a lot of things we need to put our things into it, our intention, our attention. So when we really feel this emptiness, we could easily understand the trouble or the suffering everybody is going through. And we know that we couldn't help them at all. Unless they can deeply feel the emptiness and be with it, not run away with it, or interpret it, or refuse it, there will be a solution for them. If we refuse emptiness, we will keep dividing ourselves by culture, by language, by behavior, by beliefs, by all kinds of things. Because different people have different ways to try to provide something which seems not empty in order to overcome the emptiness. But in that very futile effort, we create the division between people. You believe in this belief, I believe in that ideology. We both refused the emptiness, but in different ways, in a very divided way. So you see, from this point of view, from this nature of the mind, we can also have some deep understanding of the division the world is going through. Everybody is afraid of being empty. So the ways of escape emptiness leads to the division. It means that if we can really reunite reunite. Everybody needs to feel the emptiness. Just be with it. That's the only solution. If we refuse emptiness, there won't be a true peace. We can learn to tolerate each other, but it doesn't mean that we really make peace with each other. So to meditate is to understand this world without a self, without an ego. So without self, without ego, when we understand ourselves, we understand everybody. So we understand the whole world. And also, more importantly, is be present, right? Thought. Think about the past. Thinking about the future. It's thoughts. It's empathy. But really, the only thing really matter to us is this moment. Each moment. You can't hold on to it. You can feel it now, right? You listen to me at this moment, but you can't hold on to it. The very tendency to hold on to something becomes a thought, an attachment, which means that a mindful way of life is to live moment by moment. When this moment passed, let it go. If you hold on to it, it becomes a thought immediately. And this is the way to die as well, right? When we let go that last moment, we die to that moment. We only live at this moment. So moment by moment, we die. Moment by moment, we live. So in this way, is there a difference between life and death? No, right? No difference. Unless we give a thought to it. We never fear death, but people are afraid of the thought of death. It's a different thing. If we live moment by moment, to live, it's to die. To die is to live. So that's today's session. And before we end, I really propose doing another 10-minute meditation. If you have time, if you have no time, just feel free to leave at each moment. It doesn't matter. But if you want to stay with me, close the time space. Shall we do another 10-minute meditation to calm down again, to enjoy a peaceful and calm night? The day is still there. So this time I will play the audio guide so we can follow the symbol to meditate. Shall we? Yeah. So, all right. Thank you for everybody being here tonight to spend the last 1 hour for the meditation, for reflecting emptiness together. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Enjoy the good weather and enjoy each moment. And see you everybody next time. Bye bye.